All right, what's up, guys? How's it going? I'm Andrew King Vid. Some of you might know me from TikTok for a lot of my political videos. Well, now I'm here on YouTube, and I want to talk about what's going on between the United States, Israel, and Iran. So that's what we're here to do right now. Um, so I think we need to get into what is going on over there because it is looking pretty bad, especially for the president of the United States. The fact that he has bombed Iran without any Congress approval, um, there's a lot of black backlash about it. Now, he does have defenders, of course. There's a lot of people defending what he has done, but that doesn't make it okay, right? Um, They said that Iran had nuclear weapons, and or they were planning on creating a nuclear weapon, but they didn't have nuclear weapons. Okay, they had the uranium for nuclear weapons. Oh wow, okay, cool. All right, welcome you guys. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Iran. Okay, what would possess the United States to attack Iran? Right. That's the biggest. That's the biggest question here. Would What justifies our actions today, the president's actions to do this? And who gave him authorization to do it? Donald Trump is a lot of things, but I don't think smart is one of them because what he has done is put the United States, Iran, and Israel in a weird spot. So I want to read these new articles and we could go over a little bit about what's going on. Um, let's see, I might even be able to pull it up here to add. Give me 1 second. Share screen. Which one's this one? Nope. Nope. Okay. 1 second, you guys. I apologize for the wait. I'm trying. 1 second. 1 second. Share screen. Nope, that's not the one. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, we're going to go over this a little bit. All right. And this will put up. There we go. That's better. All right. Let's talk about it, right? So, Donald Trump had launched 3 attacks on Iran so far. Okay. So it all started when Tulsi Gabbard had said that Iran didn't have a nuclear bomb and they weren't planning on making one. Trump says that she was wrong, and Trump breaks with Gabbard on the Iran assessment. So Trump broke with the intelligence community and the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, over Iran's nuclear capabilities. Asked by NBC News why he disagreed with the assessment of his own intelligence agencies, who said they had no evidence Iran was building a nuclear weapon, Trump responded, "Well, then my intelligence community is wrong." So I guess Israel's word is better than our own intelligence community, right? Trump, who Trump, who was on the tarmac of Morristown, New Jersey, this afternoon, after Air Force One had landed at the airport, then asked who in the intelligence community said that. When it was told it was Gabbard, he said she's wrong. It continues. Americans flee Israel after strikes forced flights to stop. Some Americans in Israel have been able to leave the region after a flight arranged by Florida in partnership with a non-profit organization brought evacuees home after Israel airspace was closed off for most civilian flights over a week. And this was an exclusive that Iran, not sure it can trust America after Israeli attack. Iran's foreign minister tells NBC News. Iran is uncertain whether it can trust the United States in diplomatic talks after Israel launched an aerial attack on the country, only days before scheduled negotiations with American officials. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Friday in an exclusive interview with NBC. Ooh, we got ads.
Tonight, the news strikes. A surveillance camera capturing an Iranian missile hitting a residential building in Israel. And this Iranian strike hitting the northern Israeli city of Haifa, while Israel striking missile launchers in Iran. Today, in an exclusive interview, Iran's foreign minister calling on President Trump to demand Israel stop its attacks.
What it needs is only a telephone call from Washington to Tel Aviv to stop everything.
Tonight, President Trump responding, saying Israel is winning.
I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning, it's a little bit harder to do than if somebody's losing. But we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what happens.
All of it as President Trump again met in the Situation Room as he decides whether to launch a U.S. airstrike on the underground Iranian Fordo nuclear facility. Only the U.S. has the bunker buster bombs capable of destroying it.
Within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen.
He said he'll wait up to 2 weeks to give diplomacy a chance.
Just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses.
Tonight, Iran's foreign minister tells us they won't resume talking to the U.S. until Israel stops attacking them.
Can diplomacy produce a solution in 2 weeks?
Well, I think it's up to Americans, the United States, I mean, to show their determination for going for a negotiated solution. We have come to the conclusion that negotiations by the US was in fact a cover for what Israelis did. So they had perhaps this plan in their mind, and they just needed negotiations, perhaps, to cover it up. We don't know how we can trust them anymore. What they did was, in fact, a betrayal to diplomacy.
While Iran vowing to respond to any U.S. strike.
Would Iran retaliate against U.S. targets and U.S. forces in the region or elsewhere?
Well, when there is a war, both sides attack each other. That's quite understandable. And self-defense is a legitimate right of every country.
President Trump again rebuking his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who said Iran has an unprecedented amount of enriched uranium for a state without nuclear weapons, but that Iran's supreme leader has not yet authorized the nuclear weapons program.
My intelligence community is wrong. She's wrong.
Tonight, Gabbard says her previous comments were taken out of context, while Iran's foreign minister told me Iran's nuclear knowledge cannot be destroyed by bombs. Tom?
Andrea Mitchell with that big
Okay, so well anyway, that was before all this had happened. Right? That was 22 hours ago. All right. We just kind of wanted to go over kind of like, all right, so what's going on, right? But
exclusive tonight, Andrea. We thank you.
But did you hear what they said that about Tulsi Gabbard? She said her words were taken out of context. Drone strike hits residential building in northern Israel, emergency service says. All right, now let's jump to where the strikes had happened. Oh, look at here. Houthis say they will target U.S. ships if U.S. attacks Iran. The Houthis said in a statement issued today that they will attack U.S. ships in the Red Sea if the U.S. attacks Iran. In the statement, the Houthis accused Israel of seeking to eliminate Iran, which it considers the greatest obstacle to achieving its plans, including domination over the Middle East. Based on this, should the Americans become involved in attacking or aggressing against Iran alongside the Israeli enemy, the Yemen armed forces will target their ships and warships in the Red Sea, the statement read. The Houthis said they are closely monitoring movements in the region and pledge to stand by any Arab or Muslim country subjected to Israeli attacks. We will not abandon our brothers in the Gaza Strip, nor will we allow this criminal entity backed by America to execute its plans in the region, Houthi said. And we continue. Okay, so this is where we start getting B-2 bombers headed to Guam. Several B-2 bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base overnight and are headed to Guam, according to two defense officials. Iran has arrested 22 people in supporting Israel. He was in his 29-day trek across Iran. Anderson found himself stuck just after Israeli forces began preemptive strike on the country. Ooh, shouldn't be in Iran then, I guess, huh? Israel accuses Iran of attempting to attack Israelis in Cyprus. U.S. and Iran continue communicating. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so the risks of bombing Iran main nuclear site. All right, so Truth Social appears to struggle after president announces Iran strikes in post. Truth Social, President Donald Trump's social media site, appeared to be struggling with outages in the moments after he used the platform to announce 3 strikes on Iran. Some users attempting to view the president's post encountered a message stating that all unexpected error occurred and please wait for a moment to try again. Now, here we go. The risks of bombing Iran's main nuclear site. President Donald Trump's decision to strike Iran's fortress like Fordo nuclear enrichment facility likely caused casualties among workers or anyone else still at the site, but it will not trigger a nuclear explosion or a widespread radiological or chemical spill, according to former nuclear officials and experts. Sitting to the south of Iran's capital, Tehran, the Fordo plant is used to enrich uranium for the production of nuclear energy or potentially a bomb. But although this uranium and its chemical byproducts can be harmful to ingest or touch without protective equipment, they won't create a wider blast or regional contamination, analysis said. That would be the case if Fordo housed nuclear reactors or warheads, which international watchdogs and experts say is not the case. If you're down there and it gets bombed, you're stuffed. Hamish de Brenton Gordon, the ex-commanding officer of the British military's chemical, biological, and radiological and nuclear regiment, told NBC News on Thursday. So, in other words, attacking these facilities can have a major backlash to the people around them. So here is what was bombed: Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. U.S. strikes 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Which is south of Tehran. Alright, so we have completed our successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site. Fordow, all planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great nation, American warriors. There was no other military in the world that could have done it like us. Now, this is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that's what I don't get, right? How could this guy call for peace after he just bombed this country? I don't get it. How could you call for peace when you just bombed somebody? That's like punching somebody in the face and being like, "Hey, I call for peace. I call for peace, man." You know? Even though I punched you in the face, I call for peace. Thomas Massey says this is unconstitutional. Is he wrong though? So Representative Massey calls Iran strike unconstitutional. It appears to be the first Republican opposing Trump's Iran strikes in a post on X, in which he shared Trump's Truth Social post about the attack. Massey wrote, "This is not constitutional," which he's right. He's obviously right. You need approval from Congress for them to give you the thumbs up to do this. We'll continue. So GOP legislators largely stand by Trump's decision. Of course they do. Some of the most vocal Republican members of Congress said on social media platform, they support President Donald Trump's decision to bomb 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Uh, Sydney Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina said, "Good. This was the right call. The regime deserves it." Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham isn't she the same one that said that we all die or something? Was that her? I'm pretty sure it was her, right? Oh no, that's a dude. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, all right? Um, these guys are warmongers, man. You know? I think Iran didn't deserve that. That's effed up, bro. Israel is so disgusting. And then they wonder why no one wants to support them. Except for the people that they give them millions of dollars to. Iranian state media says nuclear sites have been evacuated. Iranian state media has reported that the 3 nuclear sites targeted by the U.S. have been evacuated some time ago. The state broadcasting services deputy director added no materials at the site could cause radiation. Bannon says U.S. strikes are biggest and boldest action of Trump's presidency. That is bullshit. That's bullshit. And I'll tell you why. Steve Bannon here was opposing the war on Iran, saying that our country does not need to be launched into another war. And now look, we just launched 3 missiles into Iran. It's gonna get worse. Okay. So Steve Bannon, a key voice in the MAGA movement, who has voiced skepticism about U.S. involvement in the war between Israel and Iran, said tonight that the U.S. strikes are probably the biggest and boldest move of Trump's presidency. He didn't approve of it, and I think any MAGA that approves of this war should go fight this war if it turns into a war. Bannon, speaking via his War Room podcast live stream, said he doubted that Trump would want to get bogged down in a protracted foreign conflict if it comes at the expense of his domestic agenda, including his sweeping crackdown on illegal immigration. We have now become a combatant in this war between Israel and Persians. I guess you say it's now a broader war. Although it looks like the president is trying to keep this to a very tactical strike, Bannon said. He added that in the US, an overwhelming majority of the people don't want to get involved in any of this. Now we're involved. Bannon, who was a senior White House advisor in Trump's first term, met with the president for lunch at the White House on Thursday, the same day Trump said through a spokeswoman that he would make a decision on joining the attack on Iran within 2 weeks. There you go, right? Trump, Netanyahu speak after U.S. strikes. President Trump spoke with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the U.S. dropped bombs on Iranian nuclear sites. The two have been speaking almost daily over the last week or so regarding the conflict between Israel and Iran. Local official in Iran confirms attacks. So the local official in Isfahan, speaking with Fars News, a news outlet run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, confirmed the attacks. Air defense systems in Isfahan and Kashan became active hours ago to confront hostile targets, and several explosions were heard simultaneously. The deputy secretary governor said, adding witness to the attacks. What was there? Is there?
I want to go to Matt Bradley. He is in Tel Aviv this morning, his time. Matt, talk to me about what the reaction has been so far there.
Well, we haven't heard much in the way of reaction. It's very late here, of course, but we are expecting that this is going to be very, very warmly received. I mean, the Israelis have been pushing President Trump to participate in these attacks on Iran, and Israeli people that I talked to really were expecting that the president would sort of pick up the mantle and finish the job. And, you know, even driving around on highways here in Tel Aviv, there are billboards saying, Mr. President finished the job with his picture on it. So this is going to be a majorly popular move. But at the same time, you know, this isn't the first time that President Trump has expanded his U.S. engagements in the Middle East, U.S. military engagement. You know, back in 2017, he fired missiles against the Assad regime in Syria, something that the Obama administration hadn't really been doing up until then. You know,
Well, yeah. We all told Obama not to do it. America told Obama not to bomb Assad because we didn't want to be involved in that conflict. That's why he didn't do it. See how the media just mixes up people's words? That's why Obama didn't do it. Obama, like a real president that he is, came out and said, hey, should we go defend these people? Assad's people, the Syrian people, because Assad is bombing them with chemical warfare. And everybody said no. All of America said no. And so he didn't. He didn't get involved. Why? Because that's what a real president does. Sorry, Chewy. I didn't see you. Come on. At around 2 this morning, B-2 bombers took off from White Airman Air Force Base in Johnson County, Missouri. Although it hasn't been confirmed that the bombers were used in the airstrike, this time frame would give the pilots enough time to reach Iran. So Fordo's base, which is located 300 feet below the surface of Earth, the bomb used in the strike is called a massive ordnance penetrator, or a bunker buster, which is tens of thousands of pounds in casings that can penetrate deep below the Earth's surface before detonating. Although it has yet to be confirmed that a massive ordnance penetrator was used, countries like Israel do not possess such weapons, nor do they have the B-2 jet to deploy the weapon. The U.S. also struck Natanz and Isfahan. Israel has recently attacked Natanz. So Tim Kaine called the decision to strike Iran today horrible judgment, adding he will push for a Senate vote on whether they are for this third idiotic Middle Eastern war. The American public is overwhelmingly opposed to the U.S. waging war on Iran, and the Israeli Foreign Ministry admitted yesterday that the Israeli bombing had set the Iranian nuclear program back at least 2 to 3 years. So, whatever Israeli did 9 days ago when they did that secret attack on Iran, that put Iran back 2 to 3 years if they were creating a bomb or whatever they were doing. Us going in there and just wiping out their whole nuclear program or whatever they were doing, their bases, is crazy. Of course, Bernie Sanders doesn't approve.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc.
And look at that. All of Americans, American people,
I
no
agree.
more wars.
And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard the second alarming that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know
Yeah.
that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The president does not have the right.
Nope. He doesn't. He doesn't have the right to do that. Donald Trump. Donald Trump has. Donald Trump has. Sorry. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay. Sorry, I start hearing a buzz in these earphones. Okay, so describing the U.S. air assault on nuclear facilities in Iran as an act of war, Senator Bernie Sanders decried the movement as an outside of Trump's power. Sanders spoke at a political rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, as part of his Fighting Oligarchy tour, reading part of Trump's social media announcement on the bombing to the crowd, which immediately responded, chanting, "No more wars." He says, "I agree. Israel restricts civilian movements." Trump expected to say that the U.S. is not currently planning additional strikes on Iran. Trump called the strikes of Iran a great success and a complete and total success. In a brief phone call with the NBC News tonight, Trump noted that he had to go because he was about to make a speech about the strikes. California NYC monitoring for potential impact from airstrikes. California Gavin Newsom said the state's Threat Assessment Center is actively monitoring for any potential impacts in the state following the U.S. bombing of Iranian nuclear sites. In a post on X, Newsom, a Democrat, said there were no specific or credible counter threats we are aware of at this time, but he urged residents to stay vigilant and report suspicious activity. The New York Police Department struck a similar note, saying in a statement it was tracking the situation unfolding in Iran. Out of abundance of caution, we're deploying additional resources to religious, cultural, and diplomatic sites across NYC and coordinating with our federal partners. The police department for the largest city in the nation added will continue to monitor any potential impacts to NYC. Oh, sorry. All right, let's continue. House Democrat leader blasts Trump for decision to strike. President Trump, Hakeem Jeffries. President Trump misled the country about his intentions, failed to seek congressional authorization for the use of military force, and risk American entanglement in a potentially disastrous war in the Middle East, Jeffries said in the movement. He also added that he added that the administration bears a heavy burden of explaining to the American people why this military action was undertaken. The briefing Congress fully and immediately in a classified setting. Donald Trump shoulders complete and total responsibility for any adverse consequences that flow from his unilateral military action, Jeffrey said. All right. AOC calls Trump's decision to strike grounds for impeachment. Absolutely.
Peter, many concerns, many questions tonight out of the White House. And we were seeing these pictures from the Situation Room where the president, along with the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chief of Staff, as well as the foreign minister, I should say, but it's really the Secretary of State of the United States, in the moments previous to and during.
Well, pretty much she called for his impeachment. She said the president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in his first public comments on the U.S. strikes, congratulated Trump for his bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with this awesome and righteous might of the American military. The decision will change history. Netanyahu said in an English language video statement.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history. In Operation Rising Lion, Israel has done truly amazing things. But in tonight's action against Iran's nuclear facilities, America has been truly unsurpassed. It has done what no other country on earth could do. History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace. President Trump and I often say, peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes peace. And tonight, President Trump and the United States acted with a lot of strength. President Trump, I thank you. The people of Israel thank you. The forces of civilization thank you. God bless America. God bless Israel. And may God bless our unshakable alliance, our unbreakable faith.
Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, just a short time ago. I want to go right back to the White House. Our Chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander, is standing by. Peter, good evening. You have new reporting on what we can expect to hear from the president in just a couple of minutes.
Jose, we should note, as you were just listening to Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, they are speaking from Israel. It's still before dawn in that country, but we do know that President Trump and Netanyahu spoke several times over the course of the last several days, including a conversation they had after.
Ooh, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Former Vice President Mike Pence also praised Trump. Let's just kind of jump up to recent updates where all right, so the next 48 hours, particularly concerning the Trump administration, braces for potential retaliation. The Trump administration is bracing for potential retaliation from Iran, with the next 48 hours being of particular concern, according to two defense officials and a senior White House official. It's unclear whether any retaliation would target overseas or domestic locations, or both, the officials said. Two officials familiar with the military planning said earlier in the week that Iran already has plans on the books to target U.S. bases and assess an asset in the Middle East if need arises, though we have cautioned at the time there were no indications of imminent deployment of the plans. U.S. bases and assets have been at the highest state of alert for months. But after Israel began warring with Iran on June 13th, officials who spoke earlier in the week said concerns were heightened even more for potential attacks on the U.S. assets from Iran. All right, so Iran's foreign minister says it reserves all options to defend its people, and it does. It does. Sirens sound as missiles are launched from Iran towards Israel. So missiles coming from Iran were launched towards Israel, causing sirens to sound in several areas. The Israeli Defense Forces said. At this time, the IAF is operating to intercept and strike where it is necessary to eliminate the threat. That was 2 hours ago. So hundreds have been killed. Israeli strikes have so far killed at least 400 people in Iran and injured 3,000, according to Iran's health ministry. The death toll in Israel from Iran's retaliatory strikes remains at 24. Wow. Israel has killed over 400 people, at least 400 people in Iran. Crazy. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to stay updated on this. We'll continue to bring you guys updates every hour or so. So stay on the lookout for that. If you're new to this channel, please follow me for daily updates, you guys. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I'm there too at Andrew King Vids. And we'll catch you later. Have a good one. I like this. This is really good. Oh, yeah, in the stream. Didn't I? Oh, yeah, in the stream.